All right, welcome back to the Q&A for the video on pattern drilling, where I made this little jig so that my grandkids could make those Cracker Barrel style folk art puzzles. I'm going to answer the questions and comments. I'm going to show you the actual use of the jig. So there were a couple comments that discussed the idea of another approach. Wouldn't it have been easier to, or could you have done it this way, and so on? Hey, any way you want to do it is fine with me. But one idea that does hold some water is the idea of having spacers that you could use and using the fence. So if I bring my fence up, you can see that I could, without using the insert with the dowel, I could have had my fence guiding the holes in a straight line, and then moving the table or moving the fence in, make my repeated holes, and then you could have blocks that index off of a stop, or even as simple as having lines measured and marked on the fence. So all you have to do is align your jig, or even without a jig, align your triangle with markings on your fence and drill your holes. Yes, that absolutely could have been done. I didn't think that was going to be repeatable for the grandkids, and therefore I didn't do it. The idea about having little blocks that you remove or insert before and after, the idea of all the dust that was being created from the drilling, I didn't think that was practical. So that's why I didn't follow that approach, but that came from Daryl and Dave asking about suggestions of using fence and stops and things like that. Don said that he has a keyless chuck like mine and was having issues with it coming loose, and he asked if at one point it looked like my bit slipped out. Yeah, these keyless chucks are a bit sensitive to that. And when they do actually grip the bit, at that moment, there's not a lot of over travel of this ring. And so if you move that ring backwards a fraction, the bit becomes loose. So one thing I would say is you can take these apart, you can unscrew them, and you may want to remove any oil or obvious amounts of grease. I paste waxed mine. Again, we don't want them to rust internally, but it's a pretty fine thread, and so when it does grip, it grips firmly, but it can come loose. So one of the things I would suggest is, if at all possible, to get bits that have 3 sides ground flat so you can get a good grip on them. But yeah, this one works better than the one that I have that came from Shopsmith, so I got to give it that much. It's the one that our buddy Chad did for me and for several of us. Peter said, for holding the arm of your clamp in place, another dowel pin and a wedge of wood on the outside of the clamp mechanism would be a low-tech and easy way to go on. So you can see here I wound up adding just some rubber bands, and that absolutely served the purpose. But that said, to Peter's point, adding a dowel here and a wooden wedge that could be driven in, I thought about that. I would position it so that it couldn't come much further, so it would hit the fence here so it wouldn't disappear. But this seemed to work just fine. Another thing I'll point out, I didn't have time to add a knob. I wanted to add a knob to occupy my grandkids' freehand. I wanted them to hold and to understand that it's important to hold their pieces down. So I had the very first child put their hand down and I traced it. And then I remembered my granddaughter who's left-handed, so we had to trace her right hand over here. So, but in the long run, adding a couple knobs to this would be smart. Also, Nurk, assuming that's their real name, said, my tool design background would have led me to put drill bushings at each location. This is a much more elegant solution. Well, thank you, Nurk. I appreciate that. Now let me show you how this all works. I mean, you know how it works. Let me show you in production how something like this would be used. What we did was for each child, we made a quick mark on the corner that we decided would be going into the corner here. And I have to pull the clamp back for it to drop in. And then that pushes it nice and tight against that corner. Oh, got to get rid of my fence. And set the depth here so that we're not actually drilling through the jig or through the final piece. I don't know, maybe the tip of that brad point is a 1/16 of an inch shy of passing all the way through. And then it went something like this. You do want to make sure that to get the best possible, let's say entry wound here, that with a brad point drill bit, you take your time entering. You want to score around and get a nice clean cut. Once you've gone in, again, let's say a 1/16 of an inch, you can go to town. You can drill the hole pretty fast at that point. And then if there was anything tricky, it was moving this from one spot to the other. So one tip I had for the grands was when they were done drilling the hole, to lift it, we always stop the machine between bores, to lift it on one side only and then to slide it horizontally, and they could use the miter slots as a guide to help eyeball that. And in fact, I suppose an iteration of this could even have a miter slot or miter bar in it. That's for the future. I'm going to go ahead and drill several of these holes, and you'll get a sense of how this flows. And then with that, again, I had the kids stop between each one. With that, you pull the clamp, and either the part falls out or you use a golf tee to push on one of these holes and the part falls out. So very quick, takes maybe a minute to drill all those out once the jig has been made. 15 holes in about a minute. One thing that was noticed was that these edges are pretty sharp, and so at the last minute I added an improvement to this. Let me show you what we did. So I just added a couple blocks of wood with double-sided tape. I used spec tape to do that, and position this so that when we slide this over to that stop, it takes the corners off. And that gives us a nice blunt edge on each corner. All right, with that, we then have to add our golf tees. Played around a little bit with whether or not we needed to remove the tips off of these golf tees. Seems like having a taper helps the little hands to find the holes easier. And so one thought was, well, I could just remove the tips themselves. I could make a little jig. We could run them to the bandsaw, or we could hit them on a sander. And in the end, they all voted to just leave them the way they are. For this game, you need 14 pegs for the 15 holes. In order to play it, you have to leave one of them empty. But for each of the kids, for them to be able to give this as a gift, they got 15 of them. That way, they could lose one or break one. But I bought a bag of 100 of these on Amazon. They do sell them at Walmart, and I'm sure that if you golf, you know where to get these. But that's it. There's a finished game and a finished gift for somebody. If you don't know how to play this, you basically jump, and for every move that you jump, if you can jump one, you remove that one. The goal is to get down to where you just have the very last one. There is a pattern you can learn. Most of my grandkids know it. I think that takes some of the fun out of it, so I've not bothered to learn the pattern. They think I'm an idiot, but that's just a choice I made. But, I'm an ignoramus. I end up with several on the game when it's all over, and I'm okay with that. Let them feel superior to me every now and again. All right, that's it. Appreciate you watching. Thank you for your questions, comments, cheap shots to the previous video, and make it a great day. I'm going to win this one. No, I'm not. No. Ignoramus.